Every office has its quirks. For me, it was the constant hum of computers, the faint smell of coffee lingering in the air, and the stack of neatly placed pens I always kept on my desk. I'm not a flashy person, just someone who likes a bit of order. Pens, notepads, sticky notes, small things that made me feel prepared for the day. But something strange started happening. Every few days, a pen would go missing. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I misplaced it. Maybe I left it in a conference room. I tried to brush it off. But the more it happened, the more unsettled I felt. It wasn't just about the pens, it was about the disrespect. These were my things, and someone was walking over my boundaries without a second thought. That's when I noticed him. Let's call him Mark. Mark was the kind of coworker who always had this smug grin plastered on his face, like the world existed for his convenience. He wasn't outright rude, but his little habits, showing up late, borrowing supplies, leaving the break room messy, spoke volumes. And then I saw it. One afternoon, while we were prepping for a client call, Mark sat across from me with a pen in hand. Not just any pen. The exact same brand, same color, same slightly bent clip that I knew had been mine. It clicked. Mark was the thief. From that moment on, every missing pen burned a hole in my patience. I'd glance at my desk in the morning, see another one gone, and feel my blood pressure rise. I considered calling him out, but what was I supposed to say? "Hey, Mark, is that big pen with the slightly worn grip mine?" It sounded ridiculous. But make no mistake, the disrespect was real. It wasn't about a 50-cent pen. It was about my space, my boundaries, my right to not be treated like some free supply store. One night, after losing yet another pen, I sat at my desk fuming. That's when an idea sparked. If Mark loved taking my pens so much, maybe it was time to give him a little surprise. I remembered something from a prank shop downtown: disappearing ink pens. They look like normal pens, but after a few minutes, the ink slowly vanishes, leaving the page completely blank. My lips curled into a grin. This wasn't just about stopping Mark, it was about teaching him a lesson he'd never forget. The next morning, I strolled into the office like nothing was wrong, clutching a brand new pack of disappearing ink pens. They looked perfectly ordinary, which made them even better. I placed 3 of them on my desk, right in the usual spot where Mark would borrow from. And then, I waited. It didn't take long. By mid-morning, Mark strutted by, flashed his fake friendly smile, and, just like clockwork, snatched one of my pens without a word. My heart raced. I had to fight to keep my face neutral, my eyes glued to the screen, as if I hadn't noticed. Inside, though, I was buzzing with anticipation. Later that day, we all gathered in the conference room for a big meeting. The energy in the room was tense: important clients, big stakes. Everyone was focused. Mark, sitting 2 seats away from me, pulled out his borrowed pen and started scribbling notes furiously. I kept sneaking glances, waiting for the moment. At first, everything seemed normal. But then, it began. I watched as Mark's eyes narrowed. His pen slowed. He leaned closer to the page, confusion flickering across his face. His notes, everything he'd just written, were vanishing before his eyes. Line after line faded, leaving the paper eerily blank, like he'd never written anything at all. Mark's forehead creased, his mouth dropped slightly open. He turned the page over, shook the pen, even scribbled in the corner to test it. But the ink obeyed its cruel magic, disappearing, fading into nothingness. Meanwhile, the rest of us kept writing. The scratching of pens filled the room, everyone immersed in their work, everyone except Mark. I bit my lip so hard I thought I might bleed, trying not to laugh. My chest shook with suppressed giggles. Watching his panic, his silent meltdown, was pure gold. Mark shifted uncomfortably in his chair. His eyes darted to the people around him, then back to his ghostly notebook. His confidence, the smugness that usually coated him like armor, was gone. He looked small, rattled, utterly lost. When the meeting ended, he closed the notebook like it had betrayed him and shoved it into his bag. He didn't look at anyone. Not a word. Just silence and confusion radiating off him. The best part. Mark never touched my pens again. Not once. It was as if the universe itself had whispered to him, "Don't mess with things that aren't yours." My desk supplies have been safe ever since. And every time I see him walk past my desk without daring to glance at my pens, I feel a spark of quiet triumph. It wasn't about revenge for the sake of cruelty. It was about balance. About showing him that boundaries matter, that taking without asking comes with consequences. The memory of Mark's bewildered face that day still makes me chuckle. The way his eyes darted across the page, the way his confidence crumbled, it was justice wrapped in comedy. He thought he was clever, sneaking pens from my desk. But in the end, his arrogance met its match in a $5 prank pen. Sometimes karma doesn't come with thunder or fire. Sometimes, it comes in the quiet fade of ink on a stolen page. That's the thing about revenge, it doesn't always have to be harsh or cruel. Sometimes the sweetest justice is making someone trip over their own bad habits. A little creativity, a little patience, and the universe handles the rest. So, what about you? Have you ever had someone constantly disrespect your boundaries, and did you ever get your own sweet revenge? Drop your story in the comments, I'd love to read it. And hey, if this tale made you laugh or gave you chills, smash that like button, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories where karma strikes back harder than anyone expects. Because sometimes, justice comes in the most unexpected ways.